I was told that you do a particularly good Amazing Grace, that was like your go-to song. Is that true?
It might be.
Do you still sing it?
Oh, yeah.
Could you sing it now?
Sure. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
My view on Erin Caffey is she's a murderer, pure and simple.
I've never come across anyone as dangerous as Erin, and I hope that I never do.
Now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
Wow. You have a great voice.
Thank you.
I mean, a really good voice. You can properly sing.
Thank you.
I have to ask this because just having spent some time with you, I can't picture you as somebody that would want her family annihilated. It doesn't make any sense to me that you would want that to happen.
A mother, 39 years of age, 2 male children aged 8 and 13 have been found in the residence that has been burned.
We were just a normal, all-American family, living day by day.
Did you shoot them kids?
No.
They just got caught in the fire?
No. I'm not the one that did it.
My mind's thinking, if I die, they may never know who did this. I've got to stay alive long enough so I can identify the killers.
My heart completely broke for Erin. I believed her story initially. It was convincing.
I was on my way to meet Erin's father, Terry, at the scene of the murders. The Caffeys were a church-going family, and Penny homeschooled Erin and her 2 younger brothers, Matthew and Tyler. Terry has not been back to a site of his old house for years. I suppose my first thought, Terry, walking down here is it's so beautiful and it's so peaceful.
It's peaceful. You would never dream that something so tragic happened somewhere so beautiful. It's so quiet when you come out here, but that night it was so chaotic, so loud, the gunshots.
What is the first thing that you hear or experience that night that makes you realize something awful is about to happen?
It's quiet. We're peacefully asleep in our bed, and then all of a sudden our bedroom door flies open, and you can hear the door hitting the wall, like bam. And I'm thinking maybe my youngest, Tyler, had a nightmare or something. He flew into the bedroom. But just as quickly as the door flew open, bam, 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 the gun blast went off, and we're being riddled by gunfire. Then I knew immediately we're being attacked.
You recognize one of the 2 people that have come in, right?
So Charles Wilkinson.
So you suddenly realize that the person that is causing this mayhem, or one of the 2 people, is your daughter's boyfriend, the guy who until 2 days before has been her boyfriend.
Correct. He had been in our home many times. I knew immediately why he was there. He was to get revenge because we made him break up with our daughter. I heard my son Matthew cry out. He said, Charlie, why are you doing this? No, Charlie, no, please, why are you doing this? And then I'm trying to get up. And then all of a sudden, bam, bam, I hear the gunshots. I realized Matthew's being shot. So I managed to get to my feet. I'm trying to get out the bedroom door to get upstairs to my children. But by this time, the house is totally engulfed. I'm hit by a wall of flames, forced back into my bedroom. and there's Penny laying there. And when I saw her, I immediately knew she was gone, because not only did they come in and shoot, that he also came in with this samurai type sword, and she would nearly be decapitated. And I guess it's just the shock that I'm in, because I'm thinking, if I could just get to my neighbors, somehow we can fix this. We can get them out, everything's gonna be okay. And I'm not thinking rational, I've just gotta get help, gotta get them out. Then my thoughts went to, if I die here, I may not be able to tell who did this. I've gotta stay alive long enough so I can identify the killers.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
This is Tommy Gaston. I've got a man that's been shot out here at my house.
Okay, so he's been shot?
Yes, and we've also got a house on fire out here.
An attack on a Rains County family left a mother and her 2 sons dead and a father in the hospital. The victims were found in a burning house near Emory, 60 miles east of Dallas.
The crime has rocked the Rains County area. No one here can remember a tragedy of this magnitude or a crime this horrific.
Terry was fighting for his life in hospital, but he told police that Erin's boyfriend Charlie was one of the murderers. He was arrested along with the other accomplices. At the house, the bodies of Penny, Matthew and Tyler had been found, but there was no sign of Erin. When police searched Charlie's trailer, they made an unexpected discovery.
The search of the house was it was a standard deal. The bedroom was very cluttered, mattress on the floor, clothes everywhere. I came across something that looked like a wig, hair wig, blonde hair wig, thought it was kind of strange. Moving it aside, pull it by the hair, and it was Erin Caffey opening her eyes, kind of startled us a little bit. So, not a little bit, a lot,
Erin claimed she'd been drugged and kidnapped from the house. But after just 2 days, the disturbing truth had emerged. The police went to the hospital to break the news to Terry that his daughter was involved in the murders.
Caffey, I'm Kirk Fisher. I'm the chief deputy for the sheriff's office.
I guess first they want to know how my daughter is. They won't tell me a whole lot, and they won't let me watch the news and everything.
She's doing fine.
I don't want to know a whole lot of details, but what kind of involvement is she in this?
Her involvement is great.
We're here for you. Take a deep breath, brother. God is in control.
I'd been granted an hour to interview Erin Caffey at the Hilltop unit in Gatesville, Texas. Investigators remain convinced it was all her idea to kill her family. But Erin has always denied this.
Hi, Erin. Nice to meet you. Erin,
Hi.
it's good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
You're much smaller than I thought you'd be. How tall are you?
4'11".
4'11". And how old are you now?
24.
24. And you've been inside here for how long?
8, going on 8 years now.
You were 16 when this all happened. When you look back, can you quite believe that that person was you that got caught up in such a terrible thing?
No, not really. I mean, just from the way we lived, who we were in the church and all that. I was voted when we went to a youth camp, most likely to succeed, and best fun-loving person. And never did I think I'd be sitting here.
See, that's extraordinary, isn't it? Most likely to succeed, most fun-loving person. You're from a very loving family. And yet it ends in this terrible, catastrophic mass murder. What the hell happened?
I guess what it all boils down to when I think about it, and I think about other young kids that have came in after me, and people that'll come in, even when I die, you know, young kids, it's all about choices. And the choices I made at a young age. Didn't think that it would affect, you know, I just thought it was just affecting me and the little stuff that I was doing, but the little stuff adds up and then it just, you know, blows up and we don't think about choices.
When your dad looked you in the eye and said, "Did you do this? Were you involved in this?" What did you say to him the first time he asked you that question?
At first he told me he loved me, and then he said, you know, "Did you have any involvement in this?" And when I saw him there, I was like, no. And I started screaming. He just said, "Okay, just don't talk about it." I guess just it hit me hard when I saw his arm in that sling.
That was reality for you.
Yeah.
You realized this was not a game.
Right.
Your dad had nearly died, and everybody else was dead. This was real.
I thought it was the most disturbing thing I'd ever seen. I had seen things where there were more victims. I had seen cases that were more heinous. I had seen cases that were more premeditated. But when you took the totality of all the circumstances, it really was the most disturbing thing I had ever seen.
I just can't believe she'd do something like this. Her own brothers and her mom.
When I look back on it now, this was all just stupid. I mean, for what? You know, they weren't beating me, they weren't starving me to death. I had it made. You know, Daddy bought me a car, let me have a job.
What is your view of Erin Caffey?
Gonna have to think on that a little bit.
Erin seems to be one of those people that everybody has to think about for
Yeah.
quite a bit, because what she did is apparently so out of kilter with her upbringing, her parenting, the schooling. There's nothing there to suggest mass murder.
It didn't jive at all. It never has jived, as it didn't with any of the other three. It didn't fit Charlie, it didn't fit Charles, it didn't fit Bobby. And that was part of what made this case so perplexing all along, was what in the world made them think, A, that this was a good idea, B, that they could get away with it, or C, that there weren't obvious long-term ramifications for this. It just defied all logic. It still does.
A community east of Dallas is still coping tonight with an attack that left a mother and her two sons dead and a father in the hospital.
In custody are 18-year-old Bobby Johnson, 20-year-old Charles Wade, and 19-year-old Charles Wilkinson. He's the boyfriend of 16-year-old Erin Caffey.
I'll ask you a question. You shot her dad, right?
Yeah.
Did you shoot them kids?
No.
I told him I could see you shooting her dad because you're a hothead, but I couldn't see you shooting them two little kids. That don't make no sense.
Trying to make sense of how this could have happened comes down to this question. Is Erin Caffey a cold, calculating murderer? Or is she a vulnerable young woman who just got caught up in the romantic thrall of a controlling boyfriend? When you look back on life before this atrocity, do you think of any moments now when you look back and think, oh, maybe that was a warning sign, that was something? I mean, you must agonize over this. Have you been able to identify anything?
One thing is that when Erin began to date Charlie, I noticed Erin began to change. You know, before this happened, Erin was a very happy young lady. But when Charlie came around, I noticed she began to change, you know. But there was just something about Charlie that just, it was like when you looked him in the eye, you could see right through his soul. It was like you could see right through him, even though he's trying to be overly polite in some areas. But I just sensed that something didn't seem right.
As the relationship with Charlie Wilkinson develops, and you and Penny get more and more concerned, and Penny goes to the library, finds his MySpace page and sees all this stuff about drinking and having sex with multiple people. Any parent seeing that, with that little girl being 16, you know, pretty innocent girl from all accounts, is going to freak out a bit.
We knew we had to do something. It was time to have this sit-down talk. There was no more denying this or thinking there's not a problem or allowing Erin to resolve this issue, because it wasn't being resolved because it's ongoing.
But she took it surprisingly well when you said you can't see him anymore, right?
Somewhat. She held her head. I remember her holding her head down and teary-eyed a little bit, and she said that she had been wanting to end it but didn't know how. And I didn't really know how to take that at that time. And I said, well, just consider it done.
I was shocked, angry, hurt. This was a guy I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with, and he loved me.
You loved him?
Yeah.
Like properly loved him?
I don't know if at 16 I knew what proper love was, but at the time, oh yeah, I was in love, and we were going to get married. And
He said since that he felt the only way he could get you back was to do what he said you wanted, which was to kill your family.
I can't put words in his mouth. I can't.
Did you remember saying that to him?
No.
What conversation did you have with him about killing your family?
He said it like it was a game. He had a name for it. And
what was the name?
Fubar. And he would always, I mean, there was no really serious planning. He would always just say, I just want a fubar. And I would...
What does that mean?
Like, to kill your family. And I would like laugh, joke about it, okay, and didn't take him seriously. I mean, he kind of had an anger problem, you know, and just kind of blew him off.
Bobby Johnson and Charles Wade picked up Charlie Wilkinson, and they went out to Erin's house at around midnight. And Erin was home with the family, and they had a black lab that was outside, and the dog started barking, and they ended up leaving. And then after that was when Erin was calling Charlie, where are you? I'll take care of the dog. I'll keep the dog quiet. You need to come back. They picked Erin up, and the four of them then went to a cemetery and sat in the car for an hour or so and talked about what they were going to do and talked about how they were going to commit the murders. And that was always the point in time where I was just so perplexed why didn't someone say, hey, wait, this is a bad idea. Ultimately, nobody did, and so they turned around and they went back to the home. The boys parked the car out on the road. Erin and Bobby sat in the back seat. Charles and Charlie went up to the house, and of course Erin had left the front door unlocked. Charlie shot Terry first, and then he shot Penny, and the gun jammed. He grabbed the sword and stabbed Penny with the sword and almost cut her head off. Then the boys heard the ruckus downstairs. They were upstairs yelling, and Charles Wade shot up and shot Matthew. Then Charlie Wilkinson went and took the knife and stabbed Tyler to death as he hid in the closet, which was probably, of all the things that were done that night, the most disturbing to me. And then after that, they set the house on fire with big lighters they had purchased earlier in the evening, and then they left. Charles Wade and Bobby dropped Erin and Charlie off at Charlie's brother's trailer, where they then had sex, and Charles and Bobby went on home.
Later that morning, the police arrested Charlie. Under interrogation, he told them the murders had been instigated by Erin. But she was in hospital, still insisting that she'd been drugged and kidnapped from the house.
I made contact with the female officers there, requested them to have a full toxicology done on Miss Caffey, and I requested the officer to gather her clothing and tell me if it smelled like smoke, because if you're in a room that's full of smoke, you're going to smell like smoke. And the officer advised me that there was no smell of smoke anywhere.
Erin, you said that you woke up and smoke was everywhere, is that right? And you said that 2 guys were with swords. Are you okay? Tell me again what they told you to do.
They get down. They just stay down. Face down.
Where were you at when you first saw them?
I was in this house that was like full of smoke. And then that's the last thing I really remember until this morning, I guess, when the cops woke me up. And I couldn't even remember where I was.
You've been identified as the ringleader, the master of this operation. It was all your idea, you driving it. You were the one that wanted this to happen. You wanted your family to be killed.
The media, you know, when things first happen, the media takes something and runs with it. And I just think that when this first happened, the media took something somebody said and then just blew it up.
How do you measure that against what happened on the night? Because you're inside the house, you make over a dozen phone calls to him. You then go out, you sit in the car, they've got guns, they've got swords. They go in, you know what they're going in to do. As you're sitting in that car and you know they've gone in to do this, what's going through your mind then?
I guess...
You can hear it, right?
No.
You couldn't hear it? Couldn't hear the gunfire?
No.
You knew what they were doing?
All right. I guess I wasn't thinking.
What people found extraordinary, amid many extraordinary things, is that you went back and eventually end up with your boyfriend and you have sex together after this has happened, after you know this guy has killed your family.
It's, the best way I can explain it is when you make one bad choice, it's like when you, I guess maybe if you tell a lie. I don't know, this is a good way of explaining it. When you tell a lie, it's not just that one lie. Then you cover it up with this lie, and then this lie, and the lies get caught up.
One of the investigators said, you were the best liar they'd ever met. I don't know if that's true or not. What I feel as you're telling this story is that you're honest to a point. I mean, it's almost like a barrier comes up where you don't want to admit that you were that person because it's easier, that it's hard to admit what probably happened.
You want to stay with that story, that's fine.
That's what I heard last night, is when she said, Charlie, get rid of my parents. I'm tired of being beat.
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen her today, and she don't have a beat mark on her. You see any beat mark on her? I didn't either. I ain't seen a mark on her.
She said that her mom had been pushing her and stuff like that, and
Well, that's
hitting her and
not
slapping
even-
her and punching her.
Is it worth killing them?
No.
Anybody say anything in the car after y'all left the house?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Erin said, holy shit, that was awesome.
Holy shit, that was awesome.
The accomplices' stories matched. They all said it was Erin who'd been behind the killings. But in the 8 years since the murders, Erin has continued to deny that she was the mastermind. Let me ask you a really difficult question, because it is a difficult question. Do you believe the version that Erin's giving you, or do you feel like you have to believe it at this stage?
I think for the most part, I believe. There's some details that maybe not, that's not completely out there, but for the most part, I believe. You know your children. I'm not saying that our children are innocent, but you get to know your kids, what they're capable of, what they're not. Erin had responsibility that night. She really did. But I didn't really know how to take all this back then, but looking back now, I honestly believe that she was not the mastermind. And I'm not saying that out of denial because it's my daughter, but I don't believe my daughter's evil, and I don't believe that she was the driving force. She was a contributor, yes, but you gotta understand, this was a vulnerable 16-year-old girl. This is this controlling psychopath, sociopath guy. You mix that together, this is what you ended up with.
Charlie Wilkinson came from a broken home, but often spent time here at the house of Teresa Myers. He became good friends with her son and confided in her. He called her Mum. There are two schools of thought. One is that he was the driving force with his friend, that he wanted to somehow impress Erin, maybe win her back, whatever it may be, and it was all from him. The other school of thought is it was all driven by Erin. She's this malevolent, evil young woman who compelled him to do this. What do you think?
I think because I know Charlie, he wasn't an evil person. I don't think that he had an evil bone in his body. But the times leading up to what happened, I had many conversations with him, where he felt like she was in danger.
In danger how?
I remember a time when my son was with him, and they were due home, and Charlie always made sure that he got Justin home on time, but they were late. And I reached him, I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I'm at the police station with Charlie. I'm like, what are you doing there? And he said, he's up here because Erin said that her mom hit her. I mean, I was upset with Charlie. I said, do you know that she was hit? Well, she said. And I told him, I said, she said doesn't show proof. Have you seen marks on her? Have you seen her mom hit her? Have you, done anything like that? And he's like, well, no. And I said, then you're taking her word. And from that moment, I kind of felt like she was pulling strings. She had a hold, and she was trying to manipulate him into believing that all these things were happening when they weren't.
You were trying, obviously, in a delicate way to get Charlie to leave her, to move on.
Oh, yeah. But he just truly in his heart felt like he loved her. And love can be a really scary thing.
Let me ask you a question. When you went in there shooting at Mom and Dad, what was your intention? What were you intending to do?
I guess I was attempting to kill him. Because I thought I wasn't done.
Are you? Is she worth all this?
The very first day we had court, we went up to Rains County, and that was the first day we met Terry. He was just out of hospital. You could still see the holes in his face. And we sat down and we had a meeting. Said that we don't have to talk about the issue of the death penalty yet. It's too early. There's no sense in doing it at this point. And I'll never forget, he just looked at me and he said, he ate at my table. And I was taken aback by that. And he said, I want the death penalty. And he was adamant as to Charles Wade and Charlie. And I said, okay.
I remember my pastor coming to me and saying, we need to pray for these young men and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, why? They can just rot in hell is what I told him. And that's how much anger I had. I remember every month they would have these pre-trial hearings. And I remember one time sitting 2 or 3 benches back, and I could see the backs of their heads. And I thought how easy it would be to sneak in there with a gun and just blow their heads off. And I contemplated that for a whole month. And that was my thought, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go take their life. I went out and purchased a gun. But when it came down to it, I even had the gun in my truck when I went to the court that day. I remember backing my truck up in front of the court, and I went to go get my gun, and I just began to shake. And it was like, this is not the answer. This is not gonna bring your family back.
While the court hearings continued, a new witness came forward, Erin's former boyfriend, Michael Washburn. His testimony was absolutely pivotal to nailing the lies of Erin Caffey, and finally proved that she had been the mastermind behind the murders.
In doing the investigation here, we've learned that that you and Erin had dated at one time. What caused the breakup?
Her mom and dad didn't want me seeing her.
Now, as I ask questions, if I ask a direct or hard question, I need a grown-up man's response, okay, to help solve what truly happened that night.
I'm going to tell you the truth.
Okay.
And she told me that she was going to hire somebody to go out there and kill her parents.
Why was she wanting to have somebody go out to the house and kill the parents?
Because she told me that every time she gets a boyfriend that she really likes, her mom and dad tries to break them up.
Let me ask you some tough questions. You can answer them however you want, but I think you're in a position now in your life, and you've had a lot of time to think about this, where you can probably be more honest than you could have been maybe 8 years ago. What's pretty clear is that you certainly told people that you wanted your family dead. Why was that?
Well, I've talked to several young ladies in here, and, you know, they've said, well, I said one time when I was, you know, your age, you know, I wish my parents were dead. And, you know, we say things when we're young and if we're mad, not realizing that you gotta be careful what you say, and especially, you know, to whoever.
As you sit here now and you look back over what happened, how much personal responsibility do you now take?
Well, I'm still working on that, and please hear me say I'm not, you know, I first got locked up, I do the blame game, but I know I need to for myself and then for others, take responsibility for my actions. And like I said, it's
what are those actions? What are you taking responsibility for?
It's just, I don't know, I've still got some things I gotta process and work out.
Do you accept that your family would still all be alive if you had wanted them to be alive? In other words, you could have stopped this at any time.
Yes, oh yeah.
You accept that?
Yes.
That in itself must be a terrible burden on you, that you had that power to stop this happening, that you never chose to take that choice, that option.
For me, the most extraordinary part of this story is that Terry and Erin still have any relationship at all, and that Terry has found a place in his heart to keep loving his daughter.
To my opinion, Daddy's in total denial. He wants her still out of jail.
The way I have always viewed Terry is that Terry has to do, and he is entitled to do, whatever he needs to do to get through. And if that requires him to have denial about Erin, I don't fault him for that, and he has every right to do that.
Your dad's a remarkable man. He has stood by you through thick and thin, knowing what you did. What was the first moment when you were able to say to him, I did have something to do with this?
It was about the second or third visit. He came by himself, and for some reason that day we were emotional from the start. And he had showed me where he got shot. And I just started crying and rubbing his arm and told him I was sorry, and then that's when we got into it. We talked about things.
What was his reaction to that coming out of your mouth for the first time?
My dad has said from the very beginning that even if I was the one that had came in that night and stood over his bed, he would still love me and come to see me. And he said no matter what I could do, it would not change his love for me. And I just didn't believe it. And for a long time, I just worried one day I wake up and he would just decide, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. And he just reassures me over and over again, he loves me. And no matter what, he's going to be by my side. And he talks about unconditional love.
I mean, it's an extraordinary thing for him to do. It's attracted lots of reaction, good and bad for him. Some people think it's amazing and the power of his faith. Other people think it's ridiculous and he shouldn't be standing by someone that killed his wife and his 2 sons. I, as a father of 4 kids, I can understand why he's taken this decision, why he stood by you. You're all he's got from that family.
In the awful months after the murders, Terry chose to come back here and live in a camper van. The fire had completely destroyed his home, and few traces remained of the life that he once shared with his family. It seems to me a strange thing to do, like the last thing I'd want to do. Right. What pulled you to stay here for those 4 months?
I felt this is my home, and I'm trying to make sense of what happened. I'm thinking if I could go back to the property, I still, in a sense, still have my family with me, have the memories, and not just the memories of that night, but I have the memories of my children playing. I came back because I needed to get my healing, and those were some terrible, terrible months. I still sleep with a loaded gun, but I have it close by in a nightstand. But then I was actually sleep with the gun on my chest. I would just lay there really, wouldn't sleep much. And when I would doze off, I would wake up here and bam, I would hear the gunshots, and I would wake up and I would just be drenched with sweat.
You've said that you feel a sense of guilt, or you did for a long time, about what happened. No rational person looking at this situation could level any guilt your way at all. Quite the opposite. Have you been able to yourself acknowledge that actually it's not your fault, that you don't need to feel guilty?
Finally, folks will ask me, people will say, what was your process of forgiveness? Who did you forgive first, And I also always say Erin, that was my daughter. That was still a struggle, but I was able to forgive her, rebuild this relationship. And then it was going forward to the boys, forgiving them. And, I've forgiven them. And I was still struggling. I had this heaviness and realized I had to forgive myself. I didn't cause this. I didn't make those boys come here and do that. I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't set the things in motion that night for this to happen. If I knew they were coming, I would have stopped them. I would have protected my family by all costs. And so it was a struggle. That very shed over there, there's a few things that were saved because it was in the shed and not in my home. And I came to one letter where Penny has said, "You're such a great father." And she says, said that, you're my hero. You're my hero. And at that moment, I just broke because I thought, you're a hero? I'm an opposite of a hero. And that was during those times I was really struggling with this with myself. Because I said, I should have protected you and the kids that night. And I began to go through all the letters and the cards and brought back so many emotions. In that same tote, she had saved little baggies of the children's first haircut, lots of their first haircut. So I'm opening this up and I'm smelling and I'm picking up their hairs. They're my boys. It was such an emotional day that day, you know, to think about that. But so it has been a struggle to finally get to that place where I could forgive myself.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bless you.
Terry eventually requested the accomplices be spared the death penalty. Charlie Wilkinson is serving life without parole. Charles Wade is also serving life without parole. Bobby Johnson will serve a minimum of 20 years. And Erin Caffey will serve a minimum of 42 years for murder. Have you had any contact with the other three members of the group? Nothing?
No, sir.
Not from the moment
No.
everyone got arrested? That was it?
Right.
Do you think you ever will again?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, Charlie's said on record that he thinks he'll always love you. Do you love him still?
I mean, I forgive. I mean, you know, we all...
It's not about forgiveness. It's a different thing. It's about whether you love him. Whether that burning passion that you have for each other is still there for you.
No, not that way.
What do you feel about him?
I feel bad for him. I don't know what it's like at the men's unit. I heard it's horrible. And I think about his family, you know.
Do you feel guilty for what happened to their son? Do you feel like without you pushing him, it would never have happened?
I've never thought about that.
Now I'm asking you, do you think that's something you should feel? That actually you could have stopped him doing this if you wanted to?
Yeah.
What do you think the first things that you'll do will be when you do get out? Have you thought about that day?
Yes, me and my dad have talked about it. We talk about the first thing I want to do is go pay my respects to the graveyard.
What do you think you'll say when you have that moment?
I don't know if I'll be able to say anything. I'm just tearing up now. My dad said that the first time he went there, he couldn't speak. So I can imagine, you know, it might be like that for me too.
But it's something you really want to do. It's part of the healing process, right? Well, Erin, it's been fascinating talking to you.
Thanks.
You're not what I expected. I haven't interviewed many monsters or mass murderers, but I've got a much better insight into you, the human being behind what happened. And I wish you all the very best here in the future and trying to make yourself a better person. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.